And we are live. Welcome back if you're a returning viewer, and welcome if you're a first time viewer to Carnivore Scott. That would be myself. I like to consider myself the common sense carnivore. I go by Scotty or Scotty P. Not that difficult. I'll try to keep it simple so I don't confuse myself. But I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to this edition of Today Show. I try to do a midday live presentation as a carnivore and as a person who is on a journey to recover my health, of the health of my youth, and to discuss topics that are near and dear today for what's been running down the mainstream of my mind and in the hearts and conversations of others in this space, in this diet slash health space. And today's main topic, first topic, is the VA, the Department of Veterans Affairs, of which I am a proud member. I retired from the United States Air Force in 2004. The ceremony was in August. The effective date was 1 December, and that was after 20 years of service. Soon after that time, I entered into the VA healthcare system. Now, I do get to use the retiree benefits of the Department of Defense as well, but predominantly I'm using the VA. And I wanted to share, to be a voice, how the VA is working with me. And I have to say, right off the bat, I'm extremely pleased. Now, my face may not be all smiles, but that has nothing to do with how I view my interaction with the VA. Now, that's not to say that the VA doesn't mess up. We saw the list issue in Arizona, and so many VA areas have such horrific things going on. But I think that is only partially the responsibility of the organization as a whole, and more to do with the people in the organization. And I wanted to make sure I made a public acknowledgement about how much I appreciate the VA as a whole and the subset of the VA that is taking care of me on a day-to-day basis. My VA does a really good job. Have there been times when the process didn't work smoothly? Absolutely. Have there been personality conflicts maybe with providers? Sure. But I'm a problem. And I know that. I know I can be a problem. And it doesn't help that I like to be like that Google Doctor guy. You know, the Google Doctor people, they go out there and they look up 2 or 3 things. They go, "Oh my gosh, I've got this, I've got that." Like they say first or second year med students. Well, that's me. I got it. I realize my shortcoming. But my doctors see through all that. My doctors work through all that. They have for a long time. And I had another example of this exemplary um, care I get. Yesterday, I had my annual review with my VA doctor, and they generally take place in February for me. That's my schedule. I became a VA patient the 1st of December, and right around February is when I get most of my appointments, and it just kind of works that way for me. Now I go there sometimes, and I get the out of cycle issues. I have to wear my hearing aids, which, by the way, I'll make sure I turn them up. So I go for hearing things, and then I'll get the normal sick things and whatever. And I had some major surgery on my neck, and they took care of that. And I had to have some esophageal strictures taken care of 3 different times. and they took care of that. I had to have a hernia repair, and they took care of that. I'm well taken care of by the VA. And yesterday I went to my normal VA appointment and I sat down with my provider. Hello and welcome. I sat down with my provider and I told my provider what I was doing. I told my provider I am I am eliminating sugar from my diet and I'm trying to eliminate all forms of it, whether it's no matter what form the carbohydrates in. So the simple sugars was easy. The bread, the rice, the pasta, not so easy. But we're getting rid of that. We got rid of that. So I am exceedingly low carb. Am I no carb? No, but I'm exceedingly low. I told this to my doctor. You know what my doctor said? Okay, sounds good. I was like, great. And so the doctor said, go ahead and do that. Now, I've had a long-standing multi-year issue with a fatty liver. I wanted to have a nice svelte liver. I don't. I've talked about this in other videos. I've talked about this in other lives. There are reasons why that's the case. And I missed one really big one, and that was ethanol. Having occasional drinks does not help. Having more than occasional drinks helps even less. But I told my doc, we set the story straight. We are on a firm foundation. And I was talking to her, and we went over some of my findings. Hi, Sandra. Oh, you only have 2%. I'd love to hear a 2% more. I don't know if we're having a communication. I'll check my settings. Oh, on your phone. I get that. I get that. Okay, Sandra. Well, I appreciate you coming in. I did just load up another video that will have a lot of what I just spoke of and what I will be speaking of. So it's on the YouTube channel at Carnivore Scott. So thank you again for coming in, Sandra. I really appreciate that. And thank you for commenting, pressing that like button. You know how that goes. But I would talk to my VA doctor, and my VA doctor and I were talking about all the various things. And I said, we did all the labs. My labs are great. Yes, my total cholesterol was elevated. It was right about 216. So that's not horribly bad, but it's more than what the VA wants. But we talked about that. We talked about the LDL, the HDL. We talked about the triglycerides are only 79. So I'm really happy about that. But I said, what I noticed we didn't test, and my glucose was under 100, and my A1C, I think they tested my A1C, and it was less. I want to say it was like about 6. It could have been a little bit more, a little bit less, but my A1C wasn't all bad, right? But what we didn't get done, and we didn't do an insulin test. And I said as much. I was kind of hoping that we'd do an insulin test. And my doctor said, fine, we'll go ahead and we're going to order your insulin test right now. I was like, really? Yeah. And I said, we've been dealing with a fatty liver, but more importantly, we've been dealing with the potential for portal vein hypertension. That's the main vein that goes into the liver, and it brings all that fat from the that's in the lymphatic system from your dietary tract and your another vein, and it all dumps into it. It's not actually a vein, but they call it a vein. But that portal vein, mine is 1.6 centimeters, 16 millimeters, and they said 13 millimeters is the higher upper limit, and mine's at 16, 15 to 16 in the last 3 years, and they haven't done anything about it. I said, this is the year, this is the visit where we're going to get the diagnostics done. Do I or do I not have portal vein hypertension? To which my doctor said, yes, we are. So the referral's out. I'm going to get imaging done and testing done. And I just did blood tests today. I only saw my provider yesterday. And I was able to go in today to get my blood tests. And I asked my provider, I said, can we not only do the insulin test, but can we do the ApoB test? Can we do a HOMA IR test? Can we do a lipid panel and get the fractions, VLDLs and HDLs and sizes and counts? And my doctor said, yeah, I don't know why not. Let's put them in. So I did. And if I had been fasted yesterday, I could have done them yesterday. As it was, I went back today to my little local clinic. And yep, they did it, took the blood right on out. And it was amazing. It was done. And another amazing thing, the technician who took my blood, this lady, I've seen her there a couple of times. She has very distinctive garb and a lanyard she wears. And last time I was talking to her, she talking about her husband and some medical issues and insulin issues. And I said, well, I don't know a lot about nothing. I'm not a doctor. By the way, nothing I say here constitutes medical advice. I am not a licensed nor trained medical professional. It's just what I read and what I have done in my life. So I was talking to her, as I'm prone to doing, and I said, there's a really good book by Dr. Jason Fung. And I think when you mention a nephrologist, a person who'll see a type 2 diabetic who doesn't control their diabetes, that's the person who will see them near the end of their life. And I told about Jason Fung's book on the diabetes code, and then I left. I went to today, gave her a vein, and she poked that vein, and she told me, "Oh yeah, by the way, I bought that book. My husband's reading it right now." And I'm like, "All right." So that was really amazing. And then I said, "Well, then there's Dr. Benjamin Bickman." And then I mentioned my page. I said, "Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you have your husband, if he really got a question or something, he wants to get a little bit more local, go to Carnivore Scott and check out my video." So I don't know if he's going to or not. If he does, great. If he doesn't, I hope someone else reaches him. But my VA did a really good job for me today. My VA did a really good job for me yesterday. And today is Tuesday. It could be Thursday evening or Friday. And I will have my blood markers back and my values, and I will share them then. This weekend, I'll be going to Carnivore Kips meetup down in South Alabama, and that'll be a fun thing to do. And I'll be able to share the blood work. It'll be so interesting. I've never been to a group meeting of carnivores that we've seen here on the net, and I'm looking forward to seeing people. I think Hoosier Carnivore is going to be there, Brett's going to be there, and of course, I figure there'll be all sorts of people down there, and I'm going to get the chance to meet them. And I bet you we'll all sit around and we'll pull out our little cards and we'll read off and we'll talk about our tests and our experience. Hey, John, how you doing? Good morning. So what's going on with you, my friend? Everything going well, I trust? I was just talking about my recent experience with the VA and how it's been really positive. And I know there's some VA areas and clinics that have bad reps. And I know that there are some people probably within that very, very large organization who don't do a great job. I don't deny that. But my experience has been really good. And so I hope everybody else is good. And if any of you are veterans, and if any of you have veteran loved ones, particularly senior loved ones, and you have any questions, let me know. And if any of your senior family members were ever married to a veteran who is deceased, let me know. A lot of people don't realize that mom might have benefits, and I stipulate might have benefits with the VA, and and that really works. I did it for a friend of mine. His mom was married to a vet. The veteran had passed on. Anyway, she had dementia, really bad Alzheimer's, and we were able to get her into a VA home. That's available. Now, is it easy? No, but it's available, and it's something that can be looked at. I know I want to talk to Brett, who's your carnivore, about that. Okay, what do we got down here? Hunting for work since I figured out my health actually been hard because my work history is a mess. Right. Hunting for work. I get that, brother. I get that. Well, um, I hope that your efforts are fruitful for that, and I don't mean that as in a fructose way, but as in a plentiful way. Um, maybe we can butt heads and figure something out sometime or another. I don't know a whole bunch. Chris, hey, thank you so much, Mr. Chris. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my VA buddy. This is my best friend outside of my wife. Don't get me wrong. This is my best friend. This is a guy I'd give a liver to or a kidney to. So suffice to say, Chris is an awesome friend, and I appreciate him very much. And I thank you for coming, Chris. Hello, Christy. How you doing? I trust all is well by you. It's a little bit in the morning time for you out there in the California time. Now, Christy, are you going to the Hack Your Health you are going to Austin, right? You're going to meet are you going to meet Lindy there? Are you going there? I can't remember. I know Limitless Lindy is going, but I don't know if you said you were going. I am not going to be going at this point in time. Oh, no worries there, Chris, my friend. Don't worry about it. You know, we one thing I got to do, I got to make sure that we're true. But hey, Chris just got back from my VA appointment, and it was amazing. And I was letting people know that I've had a very positive experience with my VA. Have I had bumps in the road? Sure. But my VA and my doctor, very, very helpful, very appreciative. So I really appreciate it. Lindy, you are planning. Oh, that is great. Yeah, folks. Meeting Wellness, she has this great page, and she is a walking advertisement for why you should exercise and why this way of eating works. So she does a wonderful job of conveying the message, but not just saying it, but more even living it, and that's awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you're planning to meet. That'd be great. So, in all of that, I was in Limitless Lindy's uh, video last night with her coach Emily, and Bella came on of all people, and Bella was absolutely amazing and very gracious. You know, she's one of the, what do they call those? The OGs. No, Bella stops in, or Amber O'Hearn, or Dr. Barry. I mean, I don't know what we would all do if Dr. Barry just showed up, boom, and then came on screen too. I think most of us would probably pass out. It'd be like the Beatles showed up in your house in 1968 or something like that. You might not even be a Beatles fan, and your heart would just be thumping like that. But anyway, Bella was there, and she was very gracious and very engaging in the issues and the questions that were presented there. And I was able to get a question, even though you'd be ashamed for or embarrassed for me, Christy. But I messed up my verb in my question, and I almost messed everything up. Military has taught me to speak only in fragments. Who needs subjects or verbs or adjectives, right? Just bullet statements. But I asked her about. I wanted to say, who is your favorite composer? But in my mind, I said, what was your favorite composition to play? And I said, so then it came out really fractured. And oh my gosh, that's why I never was an English major. But she did answer that, in case you were wanting to know. And if you didn't know Bella from the Steak and Butter Gang, Bella is a concert pianist, and her favorite was Beethoven, and she loves playing Beethoven. I was like, oh, that's so awesome. Thought it'd be like Rachmaninoff or something really complex, where you have to have an extra finger. It's like Gordon Lightfoot playing guitar. You have to have extra fingers. You can't do it. Anyhow, to wrench this all back into what we started, I had a great experience today at the VA. I really did. Yesterday and today, really rekindled and provided a vital underpinning to my journey here, because uh, being able to get blood work done and to have my doctors on board and my doctors working with me. I mean, I really feel exceedingly and exceptionally blessed because of that. I mean, it's just not easy. To further that along, what I'm going to also do, I'm going to go to my YouTube skers and I'm going to see if I can not cut everything off here. What I wanted to do, I wanted to present to you all, in case you haven't had the chance to see it yet, Dr. Benjamin Bickman. He is out here. Look, he has a channel, a couple of channels, and one of his channels is um, Insulin IQ. And I linked to it in my video, and I'm going to link to it in other places. But what I want to do is I want to actually just show it right here. Let's see if I can get to just the channel. There we go. And I'll share that with you. Stand by for news. Let's share screen. Okay, I'm going to share the screen, and we'll go with, there we go. There it is. Insulin IQ. That's the website right there. And what the video I watched today is about fatty liver, um, the fatty liver disease, which is this one down here. And it was so amazing. There's so much information that he makes available as probably a preeminent top 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 5 top 5 doctors in the world who can talk about cell biology and energy metabolism and do it in such a way as to make it not so confounding and so difficult to understand. The topic is absolutely, of course, um, mind-boggling complex. And I'm not going to go into it. Don't worry, Chris. My good buddy Chris tells me that I oftentimes go really deep, and we don't want to go deep just to be deep. We want to make sure that the message is conveyed. Now, what I am going to do, I'm going to go ahead and paste the link to this edition, and there you go. If you want to come on camera, if you got a camera that's up, if you've got your mic that's ready to go, follow the link. I'll throw you in. I'll see you pop up down here in the little quote unquote green room, and we'll go ahead and we will discuss the things you want. But yeah, and if there are any questions you have, by all means, throw your question up on the screen here. I'll throw the smash the like button to subscribe and to share this video. And also, if you've been enjoying some non-scale victories that you'd like to share, by all means, what are some of your most recent non-scale victories? What's been happening in your world that goes beyond just what the scale says? I mean, those non-scale victories can be the very thing that you rest on in a tough time. It can be anywhere from you get another notch in your belt, you're able to fit into smaller shoes. You let me know. Like I said, my big one today is I did not get angry. I did not get my blood pressure was really good when I went to the VA today. I mean, when you go to the doctor, my blood pressure the other day was like 156 over 94, but I was stressed. Today, I'm not stressed. Not even going for a blood test, and not even going to the VA, because the VA was working with me. The VA was being responsive to me, and I mean, I was just, well, I can't tell you, I was over the moon with that. So again, if you all have something that's going on in your world that you want to share, by all means, but we don't just have to talk about the things going on in my world. You can talk about your things too, and we can share those things. Another thing I thought about talking about today would be the weather. And that I know is a very dangerous thing for me to talk about. And there are a lot of good weather channels out there to talk about weather. You don't have to come here to a carnivore stream, but we're looking for some pretty dicey weather in the area today. And I know that Middle Tennessee, so Dr. Berry and all the people, Dr. Berry and My Metamorphosis and others who are up in Tennessee, you have a lot of things going on up there in the Tennessee area. So really, weather's going to be an issue for a number of people today. And I won't try to be your hippy dippy weatherman today. I know I can talk about it ad nauseum, but there's a National Weather Service, and there's a lot of the weather going on in the low 48. Hey, big man in Alaska, you can see this. What's the Alaskan weather? Pretty dynamic, and there's a lot of wind and wave action going out in Hawaii right now. But yeah, I would say the Ohio. That's well, we'll go all the way from Mississippi, Tennessee, and Ohio valleys are all going to be fraught with significant weather today. And if I go to the Aviation Weather Center, that's the Aviation Weather Center's chart, and you can see it got a lot of weather going on here, a lot of warnings in Louisiana, going to Mississippi, southern Arkansas, of course, Tennessee and Kentucky, up to Cincinnati, Indiana. Who's your carnivore? You need to be careful up there in Indiana area, out there in southern Illinois, and out to West Virginia. Lots of significant weather happening in that area. So be very, very careful out there today. But that would be just a little bit of weather. We won't do all weather all the time because that's not everybody's bag of tea. And you all can go to Ryan Hall, y'all. He's got a great YouTube channel, and he can talk and show you more specifically for weather in your area. But for me today, the discussion was the opportunity to talk about how the VA has treated me so well today, and how my VA partners are working with me and not against me. And I know, Chris, you're talking about it too, about how you had a great experience with the VA, and I'm so happy about that. And again, I'm just happy to be on this side of the dirt. While I know to be absent of the body and to be in the presence of the Lord, I also know that I like being on this side of the dirt. I like being able to play with my puppies. I got one puppy. Hey, baby, come here. You want to come here? No? Okay, go ahead. I have my one puppy over here. She hasn't been feeling so well lately. We had to take her to the vet yesterday, didn't we? Yes, we did. But the vet said she's going to be okay. Baby's going to be all right, and we just give her a little bit of a cream, and she'll be just fine. It's amazing how your furry ones worm their way into your heart, even though they aggravate you, even though they are difficult to deal with at times. And I I'm not stingy. I'm not stingy, but I don't like spending big gobs of money either, particularly, with the animals. And every time you take them to the vet, you're dropping some cash. Unless, of course, you're taking a cow, and then I'm okay with it because you're not taking the cow to the vet. I'm taking it to the butcher, which I am going to be doing. Well, I'm not going to do it. Paying someone to do that, but I'm going to be inundated with beef in about a year and a month. So let's see, we are in April, and that was then. So yeah, I'm thinking this time next year, I probably should be well covered in beef. We bought a cow, and we're going to share half of it with some friends, but I'm keeping half. Which makes me think, with all the meat I eat, at least a pound to a pound and a half a day of meat, I might need to go buy another cow. And I might need to do it soon. But in buying the cow and taking it to the butcher, not only do I get to know how the cow was raised, I can actually drive up to the farm and see the cow. I'm not doing that. They asked me if I wanted to pick the cow out and if I wanted to name the cow. I was like, no, as far as I'm concerned, it can be XBC 137. Right, baby? Right, baby? Yeah. Baby's going to run outside. But I don't really want to get to know my food. However, when that cow goes to the butcher and I get to do the cut sheet, and I'm going to order the 3/4 inch to maybe 1 inch steaks. When I order the steaks and order the ground beef and order the roast, I'm also going to order that I get all the fat, and I'm going to get the liver and the heart, and I'm going to see if they will they. Oh, hey, Chris, I see you in here, Chris, but your device isn't connected, my brother. I don't know what happened here. They need to connect their mic and comm before you can let them come in." So for some reason, it didn't work there, buddy. But we'll try. We'll see what happens. I'll pop it up and see what happens. Yeah, Chris, my friend, it says your device is not connected. Oh, they will need to connect their mic cam before they can add them to the stream. So you try it again, boss. But yeah, when I get the cow to the butcher, I'm going to see if they can give me not some, not a bit, but all of the fat trimmings. That should give me a few pounds of fat. And if they tell me, but that would be 300 pounds of fat, I'll say, okay, how about you give me 100 pounds of fat? And what I'll need to do then is find a way to freeze it, but I will. And then I'll spend a few days rendering it. And after I render it, it will store indefinitely in my freezer. I don't know if any of you have ever rendered fat before. Oh, don't worry about it, Chris. Okay, I'm gonna be on here for a bit. Um, but when you render the fat and you really do a good job of cleaning out the particulate matter, filter it out, and you put it in the freezer, that's going to be good for years. And so that's one of the things I'm gonna do. Oh, there I see Mr. Chris almost is here. Let's see if we can bring him in yet. Yeah, there he is, ladies and gentlemen. Add to the stage. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend, Chris.
Yay! Can you hear me?
I can almost hear you. Yeah,
All right, let's
a little
get
volume,
this.
a little volume.
Is that on your side or my side?
Oh, you're coming in better now. I
Okay.
could be right.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna have to work on my background there. That's my crack. That's my crack in my house. Ah,
That, that's your authenticity right there, right?
that's right. That's right. Oh man.
So, so Chris just joined the ranks of the no longer working by choice, otherwise, AKA retired.
I am retired. Let me bring this down here. Remember my setup at the house, Scotty, where I've got the big monitor up
Oh yeah,
up top. That's what I was doing. I'm looking up here, but talking down here. So
yeah.
we'll just move it
Chris
down
says
here.
hi. Yeah, my buddy Chris here, he actually has just recently gone through some major medical work and had a real, I'll guess, I'll say scare with the potential for cancer, and they did a lot of editing on him to make sure that he
Yeah, editing. Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
they did a
pretty
lot of
much.
editing.
Pretty much, they found a shadow in my abdomen, and that was indicative of potential problems. And uh, did a couple of CT scans, and then I got the opportunity to do a colonoscopy one day, and the very next day I had a laparoscopy done. So a lot of anesthesia involved, and they ultimately came down to, yeah, there's icky stuff off of your uh, appendix attached to your colon, and we probably need to go in there and take things out. And originally, they were going to do that and swab my insides with chemo.
Now
And
hold on. He highly underselling this. So they told him they were going to cut him, kind of gut him from stem to stern, open him up, and then pour 108-degree concoction of chemotherapy into his abdominal cavity, and then lavage it, massage it around all the inside of him, leave that hot juice inside of him for an hour, then rinse him out.
yeah, so when they ran that by me, uh, Scotty and I did some investigating on the doctor and the procedure, and lucky for me, turns out the guy doing the procedure is well known. His papers on the subject I've got a state of the art facility that's a 19-minute drive from my doorstep to their doorstep in downtown Omaha, and everything worked out um, well. As a matter of fact, it worked out so well that when they went in and took pretty much half my intestines out and my appendix, they didn't see anything that would lead them to do the chemo swab, which was very, very good, and also helped with my recovery. Although I think I'm still recovering. I'm still tired all the time, but
Well, come on, they
I'm
took out
getting
half
out
of
and about.
they took out about half of your large intestine, and that's never a sign of simple healing. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, it's not like you don't have a reason. When we read that procedure, they said it would be up to a year before you felt like, how would you say? You can't say normal, but you felt confident in all ways possible to feel confident with your intestinal fortitude, because they did. And also, we kind of left out, how many years was it before that? About 3 or 4 years before this situation arose last fall, that you had the appendix
Oh
issue.
yeah, that was like 2018. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're talking 5 years prior, 5 years prior, an acute bout of appendicitis, which was treated only by antibiotics, correct?
Yes. Yep.
So they didn't go in and open you up and take out that vestigial appendix.
No. No.
And
They
4.5 years later, 5 years later, they mention the C word, they take out half the colon, and you've got a zipper that goes from stem to stern.
That's right. It's a nice icebreaker. Um, but yeah, it's amazing when paid professionals drop the c word on you, how much it gets your attention.
Oh,
and
I can't imagine.
I got to tell you, and Scotty, I've told you the story that I was very concerned and had lots of questions for the doctor, and his through his experience, he was very comforting in fact that look, I think we got it, right at the begin, at the low end. 1 to 10, you're less than a one, and it'll be good. But actually going through the process and having that kind of surgery done on you, I never in a million years ever thought I'd have major surgery like that happen. And there's lots of unknowns, of course, first time doing things, which was pretty scary. And thanks, to the help of my son and Scotty, they both of them got me through it, and um, I'm super thankful, grateful for you being there for me. I definitely appreciate it. It's um, that was great. That was great.
Well, I think the thing is, we're surrounded by people who are going through things all the time. And you can be at work and you can hear about someone going through. So you remember when Gunny was going through his surgeries, and other people that we know, people all around us who either going through surgeries or medical things, or suffering the consequences from them. Everything from, like, when well, not old, but George McKeague, and he passed, to other people who have their illnesses. And when it's somebody else, you make all the proper social um, uh, comments and cues, right? And I'll lift prayers for you. But when it's either you or one of your closest friends or family member, I mean, you're right. It does. It hits you right in the gut. And uh, I don't know. I don't know that there's a a simple answer to any of that. We just get the opportunity to find out what we're made of, and what the other people around us are made of. And that's just
Yeah,
the way it is. So
exactly.
it was good, and it got me out of the house. So I appreciate that. Got me a chance to drive back to Omaha.
So I know you mentioned that I was retired recently, and
Yes.
I get that. I'm starting to get that. Oh, hey, I've got a reason to get out of the house. Sure, I'll be there. I'll be there in 18 hours. No worries. Yep.
That's a wonderful thing, and it's great to have that financial stability. I tell you, Chris and I served in the Air Force together. We actually were stationed together at the ends of our career, so we were able to strike up a fast and ready friendship, and we lived in the same neighborhood, and we've crossed many of the same bridges together. But one of the great things as you get older, when you remember when you were young and you were first in one of your cruises around the flight line or with one of your buddies after work, everybody was always complaining about the military. And when you have a family and you go into the military medical system, you're complaining about the military medical system in general, not completely. They're not all bad. I'm generalizing, but you have the what we used to call bitch sessions, right? But I'll tell you, there's not a day that doesn't go by that I don't thank the grace I was given that allowed me to do a complete career and have medical care now.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, especially when I started seeing the hospital bills for my little adventure, and there were like 5 and 6 figures involved, and my liability turned out to be zero. Through the insurance and all that I was afforded being in the military, and I am super thankful about that. I don't know how people make it without insurance. I really don't. And it's a scary thing to think that, oh my God, do I go get seen to, or do I put food on the table? Those are my choices. But
Yeah. So speaking of that, share a little bit since we made the lots about the VA. Share a little bit about your VA interaction there. I know they got you got a CBOC there at Erling Berquist, but how's that been working? Because I think weren't you just entering and marrying up to the VA patient experience when you got this diagnosis?
yeah, so like we alluded to, my back had been hurting for since 2018, and for some reason at the end of September of last year, it got worse. So my primary care provider was with a civilian hospital through military insurance, and they were like, "Oh, we haven't seen you since 2018. Now, is your back bad enough to where you needs immediate attention?" Of course, being the guy, I said, "No, it'll be fine." And they said, "Well, okay. So, seeing as we haven't seen you for such a long time, we're going to have to put you in the queue. And the next available appointment is November something." Remember now, this was the end of September. And
Mm.
so I said, "Okay." And then I believe it was either the next day or the day after that, about 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, this is not good. So I wandered down to the emergency room, and that's when this whole process started. But before that, when they told me that they were going to have to make an appointment for me, I got in contact with the VA and was like, "Hey, can I get on boarded with you guys?" And so they started that process. And by the time the emergency room showed up and was coordinating with the medical center downtown, uh, wires kind of got crossed, but then they started getting coordinated, and the VA's got what community care, and the community care of the VA works with the oncology department down in the med center, and they coordinated, and then I started rolling into the system and getting things done, and saw the oncologist, the med center oncologist who uh, prescribed the tests, and I had blood work and CT scan and colonoscopy and laparoscopy, and then eventually the big surgery and stuff. But my interaction with the doctor and his team and the VA folks that were coordinating. Because some of the procedures were at the VA mothership in Omaha. Others were like the major surgery was at the medical center, and so there was a lot of coordination. Everybody kept me updated, up to the minute with what was going on. Answered all the questions I had. Um, Answered all of Scotty's questions that he had that I didn't even think of, and it worked out seamlessly for me. I had a very very good experience. And oh, something else before I forget because I'm getting old, and if I don't say things when I remember them, I won't remember them a little later. Scotty and one of Scotty's streams, I think a couple of days ago, he was talking about interaction with your medical care people, moaning and groaning about their service and stuff, and that a lot of times you can help the process by being more descriptive about what your problem is instead of just showing up and go, oh, I got a pain in my back or my ear hurts or something like that. So if you do some homework before you see your provider so that they're armed with information, that would help them out a lot. Because I went for a checkup. It wasn't a follow up to my medical procedure. It was just a 6 month checkup with the VA. Did that on Friday, and I started reading off a laundry list of things, and they started asking questions. I'm like, maybe I should have done a little more documenting. But yeah, you're absolutely right about that there. Yeah.
Well, just clarify, because there may be some people who come in after and watch this, but what Chris is talking about, he had the big word would be a bifurcated experience. You got one patient, but this one patient and Chris generally is seen through his retirement DOD medical benefit, but he also has concurrent because of disability and being a veteran to be able to see the VA. So he has two tracks, and he had engaged in the civilian equivalency of the DOD medical track. And that's when he thinks, and he also then started waking up the VA one because it'd been a while, and they put him kind of like on a hold because he hadn't been there for a bit. When all of it came to a fruition, both of them are able to lay over each other, right? And so in the areas where there's a large VA hospital, a regional hospital, they'll call them a VISN, a VISN, but where the large ones are, like in Omaha, they tend to have a lot of partnerships with the medical colleges. So University of Nebraska Medical Center is a very large medical center, and it has the lead transplant, and it has a Susan Buffett Cancer Center, and it's a world-renowned civilian medical center where the VA and them have a partnership so the doctors can all work together, because there's no greater source of sick people than the veterans. We have plenty of veterans who are plenty sick because of a lot of different things. Some of them are uh, inherent to the tasks that the veterans are doing, and some are because veterans may not take care of themselves. I'm not trying to disparage or anything, but the fact of the matter is you'll have more lung cancer and more back issues and more mental issues and more almost everything in your military community. Therefore, it's a great training